Okay, so let's continue with services. We create a reusable service to manage our hero data calls. The tour of heroes is evolving, and we anticipate adding more components in the near future. Multiple components will need access to hero data, and we don't want to copy and paste the same code over and over. Instead, we'll create a single reusable data service and learn to inject it into the components that we need it. Refactoring data access to separate service keeps the component lean and focuses on supporting the view. It also makes it easier to unit test the component with a mock service. Because data services are invariably asynchronous, we'll finish the chapter with a promise-based version of the data service. Cool. Run the live example for this part. Does that mean now? Should I go now? Sure, why not? Let's see it. So far it looks the same, so I don't know. Let's keep going. Where we left off, before we continue with our tour of heroes, let's verify we have the following structure. If not, we need to go back and follow the previous chapters. So here's my source folder. We have the app component. We have the app module. We have the hero TS here. We have the hero detail here. Yeah, so we're the same. Okay, the application, we have npm start going. So you can see my terminal here. It's still running. That's good. If it wasn't running, I would type npm start to get it going again. The update application runs and updates automatically as we continue to build the tour of heroes. Creating a hero service. Our stakeholders have shared their larger vision for our app. They tell us they want to show the heroes in various ways on different pages. We already can select a hero from a list. Soon we'll add a dashboard with the top performing heroes and create a separate view for editing hero details. All three views need hero data. At the moment, the app component defines mock heroes for display. We have at least two objectives. First, defining heroes is not the component's job. Second, we can't easily share that list of heroes with other components and views. We can refactor this hero data acquisition business to a single service that provides heroes and share that service with all components that need heroes. So we are creating a hero service. Create a file in the app folder called hero.service.ts. Okay. So in here, new file, hero.service.ts. We've adopted a convention in which we spell the name of a service in lowercase followed by .service. If the service name were multi-word, we'd spell the base file name in lower dash case. The special service hero service would be defined in the special superhero service.ts file. We name the class hero service and export it for others to import. So in here, let's start typing. First, I guess we import Angular core again. Import, injectable, that's new. We haven't done that yet. From at Angular core. At injectable. Why is that complaining? Am I misspelling that? No. Oh, capital I maybe? Capital matters. And then we export class hero service. Injectable services. Notice that we imported the Angular injectable function and applied that function as an @injectable decorator. Don't forget the parentheses. Neglecting, okay, I got them. Neglecting them leads to an error that's difficult to diagnose. TypeScript sees the @injectable decorator and emits metadata about our service. metadata that Angular may need to inject other dependencies into the service. The hero service does not have any dependencies at the moment. Add the decorator anyway. It's a best practice. It's best practice to apply the @injectable decorator from the start for consistency and future proofing. Add a getHeroes method stub. So in my hero service file, we're going to create a stub. A stub, I assume this is just a function that does nothing. So nothing yet. So get heroes void stub. So we have a function. We're holding back on the implementation for a moment to make an important point. The consumer of our service doesn't know how the service gets the data. Our hero service could get hero data from anywhere. It could get the data from a web service or local storage or from a mock data source. So yesterday we were doing a mock data source. That's the beauty of removing the data access from the component. We can change our minds about implementing as often as we like for whatever reason without touching any of the components that need heroes. Mock heroes. We already have mock hero data sitting in the app component. It doesn't belong there. It doesn't belong here either. We'll move the mock data to its own file. Cut the heroes array from the app component ts and paste it into a new file in the app folder named mockheroes.ts. Okay, so heroes array from the app component. So let's go to app component. Here's the array. We're going to cut it, paste it into a new file in the app folder named mockheroes. New file mockheroes.ts. Oh, but above this, we copy the import hero statement from hero. What does that mean? Well, we are importing a class called hero and using that to create a new array from that class type. So otherwise it wouldn't know what this is. So it's getting this from this file, which we created before, so we can use it here. So my code seems identical, except for this. I need to export this. Export constant heroes. Everything else is the same. Good. We export the heroes constant so we can import it elsewhere, such as a hero service. Meanwhile, back in the app component ts, where we cut away the heroes array, we leave behind an uninitialized heroes property. Okay. Done. But my code is complaining for some reason. Because probably we need to link these to this together with the service, because otherwise it won't know. No, but it should know that this is an array. Let me double check here. Hero, yeah, same. Well, let's keep going, see if it explains what's going on here. Meanwhile, back in the app component ts, where we cut away the heroes, we leave behind an uninitialized heroes property. So I wonder if this is supposed to be elsewhere, like not here, but here. Oh, but even here it doesn't know what that is. Let's put it above. And maybe we don't need this anymore. I don't know. Let's leave that for now. Let's continue. Return mocked heroes. Back in the hero service. So back in the hero service. We import the mock heroes and return it from the get heroes method. Our hero service looks like this. Okay, so what are we missing? We need to import the hero from this hero file. We import heroes type or class, I guess, heroes object from mock heroes. And we had this stub function, stub file get heroes, which is no longer void. It's going to be of type hero array. And inside here, we return heroes. So we've done a lot here. It's kind of hard to grasp what's going on here. Oh, this is supposed to be capital. So this app component is still complaining about something. Now this is the old code maybe. I think I can hide this or comment it out. I don't think we need it. So back in the service, we have a service. We import this hero class. Mock heroes, this is our array of data. And it's also importing the hero class. And let me relook at that. Yep, it's a class. That's the type. So now that we have the class and the data, we have to put these two together. So this hero, we create a service which has a function of type hero. Okay. And then we return it. And what are we returning? We're returning the data. Okay, that makes sense. We don't need this. This is not a stub anymore. Use the hero service. We're ready to use the hero service in other components, starting with our app component. We begin, as usual, by importing the thing we want to use, the hero service. Okay, so back in our app component, we import it up at top. Import hero service from hero service. Importing the service allows us to reference it in our code. How should the app component acquire a runtime concrete hero service instance? Do we new the hero service? No way. We could create a new instance of the hero service with new like this. Hero service equals a new instance of hero service. Don't do that. That's a bad idea for several reasons, including our component has to know how to create a hero service. If we ever change the hero service constructor, we'll have to find every place we create the service and fix it. Running around patching code is error prone and adds to the test burden. We create a new service each time we use new. What if the service should cache heroes and share the cache with others? We couldn't do that. We're locking the app component into a specific implementation of the hero service. It will be hard to switch implementations for different scenarios. Can we operate offline? Will we need different mock versions under test? It's not easy. We get it, really we do. But it's so ridiculously easy to avoid these problems that there's no excuse for doing it wrong. Inject the hero service. 2 lines replace the 1 line that created with new. We add a constructor that also defines a private property. We add to the component's provider's metadata. Here's the constructor. Okay. We don't have a constructor yet, do we? We don't. It's probably going in this class somewhere. Constructor, we set up a private hero service of type hero service. The constructor itself does nothing. The parameter simultaneously defines a private hero service property and identifies it as a hero service injection site. Now Angular will know to supply an instance of the hero service when it creates a new app component. And we'll learn about that later. The injector does not know yet how to create a hero service. If we ran our code now, Angular would fail with an error. No provider for hero service. We could run it, but I believe it. Okay. We have to teach the injector how to make a hero service by registering a hero service provider. Do that by adding the following providers array but property to the bottom of the component metadata in the app component call. So app component at component, we have a selector and template and styles. So I guess we have to add in here providers. Hero service. That's it. Comma. Okay. There. That looks better. The providers array tells Angular to create a fresh instance of the hero service when it creates a new app component. Okay, we read this, I think. The app component can use that service to get heroes, and so can every child component of its component tree. We've got the service in a hero service private variable. Let's use it. So we import the service. We tell it about the provider. Let's use it. So we create. We pause to think. We can call the service and get the data in one line. So we're creating this. Where does that go? We were not told to type in this constructor yet, right? So, okay, well, I think we'll get to it. Okay, so where do we put it? We don't really need a dedicated method to wrap one line. We write it anyway. Oh, okay, so in the getHeroes function. So the getHeroes function was in the service, right? Here, getHeroes. In this thing. Not in the service? Maybe it was back in the app component. Yeah, we're supposed to be in the app component. Okay, so let's see. So we pause the thing. So we create this heroes. I'm going to type this out somewhere, but I don't know where to put it. I'm going to guess it's in here. This heroes equals this dot hero service. Service dot get heroes. Now let's see if it complains. It does complain because this doesn't belong here. A constructor method, accessor, or property was expected. So we need a constructor. And we were told about it earlier here, but it didn't say where to put it, this constructor. Maybe it'll say it in a minute. Oh, but see now down here it's saying it goes in the getHeroes function, which we don't have yet. So let's write one. getHeroes void. Put that in there. But now it's complaining about this. Property hero service does not exist on type app component. But we have hero service. We imported it here. So this hero service should be coming from where? In the constructor, which we haven't set up yet. So I guess this has to come in here somewhere, but it doesn't say where. So I'm just going to put it in, I don't know, here. Once I do that, this stopped complaining. Let me take it out again, see if it complains again. It does. So we have to put it in inside this class. So now it's happy. Okay. Okay, where were we? The ng on init lifecycle hook. App component should fetch and display heroes without a fuss. Where do we call the getHeroes method? In a constructor? We do not. Years of experience and bitter tears have taught us to keep complex logic out of the constructor, especially anything that might call a server, as a data access method is sure to do. The constructor is for simple initializations like wiring in constructor parameters to properties. It's not for heavy lifting. We should be able to create a component in a test and not worry that it might do real work, like calling a server, before we tell it to do so. Okay, so if not the constructor, something has to call getHeroes. Angular, we call it if we implement the Angular on init lifecycle hook. Angular offers a number of interfaces for tapping into critical moments in the component lifecycle, at a creation, after each change, and at its eventual destruction. Each interface has a single method. When the component implements that method, Angular calls it at the appropriate time. And we'll learn about life cycles later. Here's the essential outline for the onInit interface. Okay, so we have to import this at the top in the Angular core, which we're already importing at the Angular core. So I know I've done this before. You have to put it alongside it. So onInit. And then in the class of our app component, so down here, we add this new thing called implements on init. And then, now why is this complaining? It's complaining, maybe I have a typo? No. On init. Maybe this is. See, if I take this out, it doesn't complain. I have a feeling I'm jumping the gun again because this tutorial has a habit of showing me something that I end up just typing it in, but it doesn't actually expect me to put it in yet till later, than the next step. But, so what is it saying? Just for sanity, it's saying it's incorrectly implemented. So probably the next line when I put in the ng-init. So we create a function, ng, so this is like a built-in function, ng on init, void this dot get heroes. So yeah, the minute I did that, once I had the ng on init, this is happy again, because it's saying, okay, because you're implementing this, you better call it, I guess. Even if it was empty, it would be happy. Even if it did nothing in here. But once you implement it, you have to have this in here. Okay, we're on track. Our application should be running as expected, showing a list of heroes and a hero detail view when we click on a hero name. Okay, well, we did a lot of changes, so let's see if this app still works. If it doesn't, I'm gonna freak out because I don't know what step along the way that. Oh, you know what? I don't think we saved this file yet, and let's see if anything else is not saved yet. Yeah, the minute I saved, this browser refreshed. So phew, everything's working good. We're getting closer, but something isn't quite right. Our hero service returns a list of mock heroes immediately. Its get hero signature is synchronous. Right, okay, so back here in our component, the minute this function gets called, which is being called on init, this is synchronous. It means that it's trying to get this data right this very second. Ask for heroes, and they are there in the return result. Someday we're going to get heroes from a remote server. We don't call HTTP yet, but we aspire to in later chapters. When we do, we'll have to wait for the server to respond, and we won't be able to block the UI while we wait, even if we want to, which we shouldn't, because the browser won't block. We'll have to use some kind of asynchronous technique, and that will change the signature of getHeroes method. We'll use promises. So yeah, so if this happened to be a function that took maybe 3 seconds to connect to a server and get data back, this guy won't hang around waiting for that to happen. So this, because JavaScript is just going to keep going on with the next line of code. So that's why we need something like promises to handle something that's asynchronous in nature like that. Right now this is all hardwired data in another file mocked up, so it's instant, so it does work. But in the case we do connect to a remote service, we have to learn about promises. The hero service makes a promise. A promise is, well, it's a promise to call us back later when the results are ready. We ask for an asynchronous service to do some work and give it a callback function. If that does work somewhere, and eventually it calls our function with the results of the work or an error, we are simplifying. Okay, we'll learn about promises again later. Update the hero service with this promise returning getHeroes method. Okay, so in our services here, where we return the heroes, we return a promise. Okay, so here, promise dot resolve but to do that we also have to put this thing. I don't know what this does, but it has to be here. Put a little arrow bracket thingy. So what does that mean? It's saying this function is no longer of type hero, it's a promise of type hero. Okay, that makes sense. We're still mocking the data. We're simulating the behavior of an ultra-fast, zero latency server by returning an immediately resolved promise with our mock heroes as a result. Returning to the app component. Okay, here we are. And its getHeroes method, we see that it still looks like this. Okay, where's the get? Oh, we have an error. What is going on here? Oh, because we changed this to be a promise, so we need to ingest that, I guess. Still looks like this. As a result of our change to our hero service, we are now setting this .heroes to a promise rather than an array of heroes. Okay. We have to change our implementation to act on the promise when it resolves. When the promise resolves successfully, then we will have heroes to display. We pass our callback function as an argument to the promises then method. Okay, so what does that actually look like? Get heroes, void this. Okay, so we are changing this hero service. Okay, dot get heroes function. This dot hero service get heroes function dot then, because it's a, now this is going to be a promise, and then the promise has a then that happens, and inside that then we move, oh, we have an arrow function. That's our first use of an arrow function. Okay, heroes arrow function, this dot heroes equals heroes, and then this junk can be deleted. So what did this do? Let's see this better. So this line, this function, when we call it, it's going to assign this .hero service, run this function in the service, and when it gets the data back, when the promise is resolved, it'll run then, and inside of this, it's going to run a function. And now I'm not too good at hero or with arrow functions, so my understanding is it's basically just a function that this .heroes is going to be equal to heroes. Okay, I think it's going to explain it to us in a minute, unless it just assumes that we know how arrow functions work. But okay, let's continue and see if it explains. Oh, it says read about arrow functions here. All right, well, I think basically what it's doing, it's going to run this function where it's assigning this expression will happen, and it's passing this in. So okay, so this goes into this expression. Oh, I see what's happening. Okay, so when this data comes back, when this service function comes back with data, we basically have a hero object, and this hero object will go into our little function here, into here, and assign it into this .heroes. Okay, if you don't understand, I guess you just got to read the arrow function thing, which we can do later. We could rewrite that as a normal callback, but let's adopt this new ES6 syntax and embrace it. Our callback sets the component's heroes property to the array of heroes returned by the service. That's all there is to it. Our app should still be running, still showing a list of heroes, and still responding to a name selection with a detail view. So let's take a look. So if we load, seems like it's still running. Still works. Okay, so now it's working with promises. So this data could be a slower asynchronous data. So we did this. Check out the Take It Slow appendix to see what the app might be like with a poor connection. Is this like a different tutorial? So that's weird. It takes like a deviation here. We can either keep going with this tutorial, or we can learn about how we could simulate a slow connection. And they do this with a set timeout. Yeah, they just put a 2000 millisecond delay before this comes back. But it's still not a real remote connection. It's just faking it. So, okay, we can do that another time. Review the app structure. Okay, they should be the same. Oh, wait, this is new. System.js. Was that there the whole time? Yeah, it's already there. Okay. So here's what we modified in this chapter. We created a hero service file. We modified our component. We created a new mock heroes TypeScript file. In the service, we injected Angular. Or no, we loaded an injectable. We loaded the hero class. We loaded the heroes array. Then we learned about this new injectable thing, which I still don't quite understand what that means yet, but it was pretty vague about it. It just said be sure to put that in even if we don't use it yet. Then we created a function inner service that returns a promise here and this whole thing is of type hero. Okay. The road we traveled. Let's take stock of what we've built. We created a service. We used ng-on-init lifecycle hook to get our heroes when our app component activates. We defined our hero service as a provider of our app component. We created mock hero data, imported into our service. We designed our service to return a promise. Run the live example for this part. Okay. But this is exactly the same as what we just built, so I'm not sure why I need to do that. So the road ahead. Our tour of heroes has become more reusable using shared components and services. We want to create a dashboard, add menu links that route between views, and format data in a template. As our app evolves, we'll learn how to design it to make it easier to grow and maintain. We learn about Angular component router and navigation among views in the next tutorial chapter. Oh, and this is that take it slow part where they were going to add that thing. So this was optional. We don't need to do it. Next step, we're going to learn about routing. Cool. Routing. We add the Angular router and learn to navigate among the views. We received new requirements for our Tour of Heroes application. We received new requirements for our Tour of Heroes application. Add a dashboard view. Navigate between heroes and dashboard views. Clicking on a hero in either view navigates to a detail view of the selected hero. Clicking a deep link in an email opens a detail view for a particular hero. When we're done, users will be able to navigate the app like this. So you can click on these. This is a button to go from the homepage, the dashboard homepage, and this is a button that goes to the heroes list, which looks like that. And clicking on a detail goes to here, and then clicking back goes to here, and then clicking on Magneto. Yeah, Magneto goes to detail. Okay. We'll add Angular's router to our app to satisfy these requirements. The routing and navigation chapter covers the router in more detail than we will in this tutorial. Run the live example for this part. All right, let's take a look. So we're on the dashboard page. I can click on heroes to see the list of heroes. I can modify each one. Now when I click on it, I can click on details. Now we're on a details page, and then we can go back. We can also not click back. We can go here. That goes back to this list. We can go back to the dashboard. And these top heroes, I don't know what makes them go here. Does this become a top? What makes it top? Why are these four singled out? Not sure. Maybe we'll learn when we build it. To see the URL changes in the browser address bar of the live example, open it again in the Plunker. Yeah, because we're watching this in the Plunker, Plunker is wrapping this in like an iframe, so we won't see the URL change unless I open this up in an external view, but I don't need to do that. We'll get there. Where we left off. Before we continue with our tour of heroes, let's verify that we have the following structure. Okay, this is again assuming we came from an earlier day or something. We just built this, so we have this structure. Keep the app transpiling and running, which we do. Our terminal's running here. Here's our plan. We'll turn app component into an application shell that only handles navigation.